It's as close to time travel as we're gonna get. This week in music history with Marty Miller.
I do hope you're well and everything is good in your world. My name is Marty and this is the Time Travelling Podcast. Between now and sometime in the next few minutes, i.e. 6 or 7 minutes, no more than 10 though, we'll have time travelled through the week of February 23rd to 27th in decades gone by. For example, it was this week that Priscilla Presley was moving on from Elvis in 1972.
And I did not divorce him because I didn't love him.
In 1975 this week, John Paul Jones wanted to quit Led Zeppelin because life was just too hard. Here's guitarist Jimmy Page.
You could be based in New York while you flew into Philadelphia and you flew to Washington and it was quite a workout.
And in 2015, a 6-minute house sale. On the market, sold.
McCartney described the house as the first one he remembers growing up in.
This week in music history with Marty Miller.
So we'll start actually in 1972, and after nearly 5 years of marriage, Priscilla Presley moved out of Elvis Presley's Beverly Hills home. Divorce proceedings were underway, and this is Priscilla looking back on her life with Elvis.
I realized that I don't know who I am. I mean, my considerations were his considerations. My fears were his fears. My likes were his likes. In a conversation, I found myself revealing things that he would say to me and I did not divorce him because I didn't love him. He was the love of my life, truly. If anything, I left because, and I still loved him, I needed to find out what the world was like, really. It was one world.
This week back in 1985, the Smiths had a #1 album with Meat is Murder. Granada TV were hanging out with the band in the mid-80s.
The Smiths in rehearsal for their tour, which begins next week. And the man at the microphone, well, I used to know him as Stephen. But now they call him Morrissey. For some people, Morrissey is the Smiths. Which is really pretty unfair, considering there are 4 people in the band and considering that they can't do much out there without good drumming and bass playing. Do you two ever get annoyed at the attention given to Morrissey?
No, not really. I think he deserves the attention he gets.
Oh, come on. There must be a little, sometimes when you think it's all Steve Morrissey up there.
Well,
do you never feel
we know that we're appreciated, so but obviously if we don't do interviews and we're not on the TV like every hour like Morrissey, then...
This week in 1975, Led Zeppelin released their 6th album, Physical Graffiti. Recording sessions had been slowed down after John Paul Jones had proposed quitting the band. He was bass player, keyboard player. He wanted to become choir master at Winchester Cathedral. So he took some holidays and then said, oh, but actually I feel okay now. But being in Led Zeppelin back then was tough work. Here's guitarist Jimmy Page.
Say 1 week, we'd probably have 5 shows in it. And each of those shows would be minimum of 3 hours long. That's some serious workout, both musically and physically. And it gets to the point where people will go, oh, that was really excessive that they had a plane. Well, it wasn't. It wasn't, because it meant that you could stay in New York, unpack your suitcase, and you could be based in New York while you flew into Philadelphia and you flew to Washington and it was quite a workout.
It was this week in 2016 that Cranberry singer Dolores O'Riordan was ordered to give $6,000 to charity after headbutting a guard. Now, she was arrested at Shannon Airport in 2014 after an air rage incident from New York to Shannon. Sadly reported on the television in the States like this.
Singer Dolores O'Riordan was arrested following a flight from New York to Ireland after she allegedly assaulted an airline staffer, and then she headbutted the cop who tried to arrest her. The 43-year-old singer was removed from the plane after it landed at Shannon Airport. She was taken to a local hospital but is still in police custody.
We mentioned Led Zeppelin. But this week in 1972, they appeared in front of 25,000 fans in Auckland in New Zealand. It was their first ever gig in that part of the world and the largest crowd to ever attend a concert on the island. And you know, it was said that you could hear the gig from over 5 miles from the stadium. I don't know how, because it all seemed pretty chill from what I could hear.
You seem to see 22,000 people sitting down. So we're going to sit down.
2009 this week, President Barack Obama honoured his musical hero Stevie Wonder with America's highest award for pop music, the Library of Congress Gershwin Prize. And the ceremony at the White House. What happens? You bring Stevie Wonder in with the full band and he performs at your house. Nice job, President Obama. $1980 this week, after seeing U2 play at Dublin's National Boxing Stadium, the National Stadium, in front of 2,500 people, Island Records in the UK offered the band a recording contract. This is how they sounded back then, and they're still with Island to this day.
Running from the left into the hard road. Shall we be so running to get to the speed of life?
Meanwhile, this week in 2015, the childhood home of former Beatle Paul McCartney sold for only 150 grand at an auction in Liverpool. The house sold in 6 minutes, but it went for double the average house price on the road. McCartney moved into the house at the age of 4 in 1947 and lived there for 6 years.
The former home of Beatles frontman Paul McCartney is up for auction. The 3-bedroom house is located on 72 Western Avenue in Liverpool, and it's where McCartney lived between the ages of 4 and 10. McCartney described the house as the first one he remembers growing up in.
This week in 1964, the Rolling Stones made their second appearance on the BBC's Top of the Pops, performing this.
Love lasts more than one day.
Speaking of which, Rolling Stones, it was a decade or so later in 1977 when Rolling Stone Keith Richards was arrested at a hotel in Toronto after an ounce of heroin was found following a raid of his hotel room by 15 mounted police. Richards, who was charged with possession, intent to traffic, faced 7 years to life in prison, and bail was set at 25 grand. Here's Keith.
It's a difficult question in these circumstances, but could you talk a little about the business of beating the addiction?
Yeah, it's a lot easier to get on it than it is to get off it.
And that there, boys and girls, is a look at February 23rd to 27th in music history. That is pure time travel. Thanks for listening to the podcast. We'll do it all again next week, same time, same channel.
Zipping through a week in a matter of minutes. This Week in Music History, the podcast.